use in trying, and all you get is pain. When I needed sunshine, I got rain. Oh, then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried.
Welcome back to the Brew Crew Review. This is Brian back from my one-game suspension. Brady Clark, I apologize. You're not the biggest loser in the league. You're actually pretty good. With me, I've got Chad Collins over here. Welcome back, Chad. And triumphant return, Mr. Nick Zeno.
Thank you.
We're here to talk about the Brewers. We've been up and down, but lately it's been up. Chad, can you explain why our fortune's been changing for the better?
Pitching. Don't you think pitching? I mean, Victor Santos is coming on strong. Wes Obermueller has had 2 great games now. Today was a very unfortunate loss. I still have a tear in my juice over it, but the pitching's really coming on. Capuano's playing tough. Obermueller has had 2 great starts. We're having a lot of great pitching performances, even without Ben Sheets, and I think that's outstanding. So I think pitching is the key right now. Unfortunately for my friend Mark Antoniak, he hasn't earned too many of those George Webb promotions of the 6 for 5 lately. But if the hitting comes around, the pitching will. If the hitting can come around, then the team should definitely be over 500. Pitching performances have really been very good lately.
Doesn't it bother that the pitchers are just playing out of their minds, and yet we're still not winning as many games as we probably should be at this point? We're still barely over. We're under 500 at this point. Our pitchers, we have Capuano pitching quality starts every time. Victor Santos is actually striking guys out now.
Yep.
No Sheets, and yet we're still 3 games under 500 now.
Oh, and you have people like Moeller in the lineup, but I think he's barely batting 100 after today.
Actually, he's not batting 100 anymore. He's batting 099.
Damn it. And J.J. Hardy, who hasn't even played in 4 days, and Spivey's striking out countless times. I think he's down to 230 now. But it's hard. It's hard. Jenkins is coming around a little bit, but it's hard. We got to get our hitting back and forth to support this great pitching performances.
It seems like it's a different guy every day, too. I mean, as far as hitting, I definitely agree with Chad on the pitching part. Carlos Lee's been having a couple good games, which is pretty encouraging, but he's still only hitting about 250, maybe 260. Jenkins, you got to almost take him out every time against the lefties. Overbay's kind of slumped a little bit, but with his swing, I think that he'll definitely, he won't be in a slump for too long.
Now, I know it's early in the year, but are we spoiled already? We're 3 games under 500. We weren't expecting a whole lot, maybe an 81 season. And we're complaining about just about every guy in the roster at this point. Carlos Lee, second league in RBIs. It just seems it sticks out every time. Guy on third base, even today, bases loaded, 1 out, can't get the runner in. There's been several times it's been happening this year. Is it once going down to clutch hitting? We just don't have it.
Well, yeah, if you look at Jenkins' average with runners in scoring position, it was way under 200 before he had that RBI double, I think, in Pittsburgh. But yeah, it seems like we just can't get that clutch hit at the right time. Like you said, Derek Lee's been 250, but he does have like 30-some RBIs. He did strand those bases a little 1 out today, and that did hurt a lot. But it just seems like we can't get that proper hit in the clutch so many times. We strand runners, and it's very frustrating. It's got to be frustrating for the pitchers.
Our batting average with runners in the scoring position is, again, for the 2nd year in a row, the worst in the league. It's so low, and nobody can step up and get the big hit. And I don't mean to correct you, but it was Carlos Lee, not Derek.
Not Derek Lee, but
no, I'm sorry.
All right.
We'll let you go.
It must be the.
Yeah, I think almost. I like Bill Hall. I think he puts the ball in play. Unlike Junior Spivey, who I'm really discouraged with right now. I don't know where his head's at, but J.J. Hardy's not hitting, but his numbers comparable to Robin Yount when he was at 100 at bats is pretty close. So he's still young, and we'll see what we can do.
Do you guys think it might be time to bring up Weeks? I mean, with Spivey being so
Weeks only
awful right now.
He goes 3 for 4 every day with a double, so I would like to see Junior Spivey maybe doing something. I know it's a gimmick, but we need to do something to give the guy some value because we want to bring Weeks up, but Spivey's not really a great bench player to have. He's not never been in the position to be a pinch hitter ever.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a great speed guy. So why not let him try to swipe a couple bases in some of these situations? just maybe at least show a little bit of potential in that regards. He's not going to hit for power, not for average at this point. He's not going to put the ball in play. Give the guy one tool to maybe make it marketable on the trade deadline.
This is his last, his contract's up after this year, and he's got to do something. We got weeks in the wings, and I think that wouldn't be a bad idea if we could.
Well, I think it would generate some excitement with fans. It might help attendance a little bit, and plus Weeks is a base running threat too as well.
That's what we're very much
really lacking there big time, and that's the one bad thing about Mr. Durgan leaving town is we lose our base runner. But I think maybe it is time to bring Weeks up. I'm just thinking that Spivey, I don't know what he has left. I would hate to be like a Royce Clayton situation where he's just benched and that's it and you pass the torch, but it might come down to that, unfortunately.
I think he's what we're lacking in our offense right now. We've got a guy in Carlos Lee and Lyle Overby that can put a runner, can drive a runner home. But that two-hitter, which is exactly what Weeks would be at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We know the guy's not going to strike out that much. We know he's going to put the ball in play. He's going to have speed to score on a double if he's at first. He's exactly what we're lacking right now, and hopefully we'll see him very much in the near future.
Indeed.
I think moving on, the big point, actually, he's become the star of our winning streak that we just had recently, but still some question marks exactly what's going on with our closer position, Derek Turnbow. Do we think he's the answer? Do we think he's going to keep the job the whole year? Is he somewhat overrated at this point? What do you think, Nick?
I think that he's pitching well. Besides today, I think Yost left him out to, hanging out to dry today. But he's pitching well. He throws hard. He kind of got his mechanics somewhat toned down with Maddox. Mm-hmm. So, I think he will be there all year because we really have nobody else that I'd like to see in that position as far as Mike Adams or Matt Wise. I mean, I think they're both good setup guys, but I would definitely like to see. He throws hard, so it's exciting.
He's a hard man. I just don't like the bullpen by committee. I just never was for it. I think Turnbull has proven that he can do it. He has gained a lot of attention in Sports Illustrated and USA Today. I've seen articles and his picture everywhere, and he is getting a little hyped up. But I think that he is a quality, for now, reliever. And I just don't think one bad performance today it was a bad performance. But I just don't think that even the best give up 3 runs at one point or another. And I just think you have to stick with him. He is a strikeout guy, and he's gotten his control under. And I think he's kind of what you need in a closer. And he has the right makeup. So I say stick with him. I wouldn't want to juggle
I see more question marks than that, actually, though, for him. If you look at a guy, if he's in a New York or a Chicago type situation, the guy's already blown 2 saves since he got a job, which was less than a month ago. You have a guy like Braden Looper who's blown 1 save the entire year, and the guy's just under fire. They want to get rid of him. They're burning him in effigy all over the place. I think Turnbow, his ERA is going to be over 4 after this performance, which 1 below up isn't necessarily exactly what he's going to be doing the rest of the year. But I think as much as I hate to say this, but I think that we need to send Mike Adams down to get some work. And Mike Adams is the guy I'd like to see in the closer spot sometime in the near future. Turnbow is he's never been as good of a pitcher as he's been pitching, and I think he's starting to show his true colors once again.
But it was only 1 game. I mean, I think he was 6 for 7 going in today with saves.
But he's
6
still
for 8
giving up
today.
He's still giving up the home run. He's giving up more home runs like I said of a closer. His location is not that great. He gets away with a lot because it's he's throwing 97, 98s.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of times Chad Moeller actually watching just games recently, it looks like he's almost calling a bad game with them. Like they know exactly what's coming. They're not really that surprised by a breaking ball, the fastball. They see it coming. Lou Ford, that triple hit today, he was looking dead red fastball, no doubt about it. Even up in the zone, even 96, they're still going to take it out if they're looking for it.
Yeah, that's what that announcer with the foot pain, Bill Schroeder, said. He said, when a fastball hitter is going to be looking at a fastball 3-2 every time, you'd almost rather give up the walk than that kind of situation. But I guess that's his best pitch, though. So, I mean, hindsight's 20/20. I mean, you want to throw your best pitch in your best situations, and it's, are you better than I am, and all that stuff. So I don't have too much of a problem with it. But I think Turnbull should still be our closer for now. I just don't think there's anything better right now. And he's proven it, and it's a tough job, and he's taking responsibility well. And he's 6 for 8. And I don't know. I just don't think it's time to panic at all.
And we have a guy in AAA right now who's really tearing it up as a closer down there, too. But we've already seen him up in the major leagues at some points. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to see him back again.
The Buckethead?
He can keep his little flat-billed hat back in AAA as far as I'm concerned. But it may be an option we have to look to eventually if our relievers have been great so far, lowest ERA in the league until today anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be exciting. Hopefully I'm wrong about Turnbull. Hopefully he really straightens himself out and stays straight the rest of the way. But I think what we're actually lacking with this recent success is our ace. He's got this vertigo issue with the inner ear infection. Do we think this is going to be something that's going to linger for a while now. I think it's going to be something that's going to be done. It's the second time he's had it. They say it gets worse and worse every time you get it. Are we worried? We just gave this guy $38 million, so it's...
I don't think so. Ben Sheets is a warrior, you know. I mean, obviously it's a weird, you know, injury to get, but at least it's not his elbow, his arm. I think he's got to be able to overcome this. I mean, he might get it again, but I think he's a warrior. It's Ben Sheets, you know. He's the life of the clubhouse. He's our best pitcher. He's our best player.
He's an Olympic hero, like Kurt Angle.
Exactly.
It's true.
Exactly. So I don't think it. I hope not. At least I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
I don't know. I think that's something we might need to like switch our golden pen at the Brewer not the ticket office. I'm sorry, at the front office. It seems like whenever a guy signs a big contract, something happens where the poison from the pen goes up their arms and they get injured right away. I don't know what's going on. It's just kind of freaky. Every time a big contract is signed, like Hammonds and Higuera and now Sheets, there's mysterious ailments. So I don't know what's going on there.
I think it's just kind of frustrating for us. Like, you know, guys with sore arm, you're like, all right, 2 weeks, let them relax, take care of it. But something like, I have no idea how do you get vertigo? I have no idea.
I thought it was just a song by U2. I never knew what it meant, but now I do. So.
And this inner ear infection that's just basically crippled the guy for the last couple of weeks. Can't even turn his head without falling down. I have no idea. Hopefully it's not going to be something that's going to be...
It sounds kind of silly, but I mean, how long has he been out for now? A week? Or, excuse me, a month?
Weeks.
Yeah.
It's close to a month. I mean...
We'll know a lot more by the time these tapings hit the air, though, with his rehab start. And,
well, I know I had a professor in school that had vertigo, and she fell over in the middle of class just teaching, so I can imagine trying to field her position. It was funnier than hell, by the way. It's, you know, different subject, I guess, on to happier times. I think we talked about our offense sputtering a little bit, and J.J. Hardy's kind of he's taken a lot of our complaints have been towards him. Do we think that Bill Hall's a better answer right now at shortstop? J.J. Hardy, not go to, maybe to AAA a little bit just to straighten himself out, get some confidence? Zeno, what do you think?
Well, I mean, we were just talking about Junior Spivey. We got to, you know, somehow make him look good, but I would rather see Bill Hall out at second base than Junior Spivey. I think you let Hardy, you know, he's a solid defensive player. You know, J.J. Hardy's young. You know, this is his first month in the league. He's got 8 RBIs coming out of the 8-hole. I mean, he could do a little bit better, but I'm more worried about Junior Spivey than I am J.J. Hardy. I mean, he leads the league in strikeouts. That's, you know, reminiscent of Jose Hernandez, you know. So I say maybe switch Bill Hall back and forth from short to second. You know.
That's true. I think the whole infield is kind of freaking me out right now, except for Overbay. And Overbay's even slumping right now. That's probably another reason why we were kind of having problems. He's been slumping. But, I mean, look at third base, what's going on right now. Branyan looked to be the guy who I wanted to see in every day, lefty, righty, it didn't matter, but now he's by far the worst of the three. Sorry about that. But, I mean, Cirill's average is over 270 now. Russ Helms, I mean, has actually come up very productive lately. I wouldn't mind seeing him get some starts. So it's like, what do you do about second? What do you do about third? What do you do about short? And that's a lot to ask for any manager. So I don't even know. I think all three of those positions are pretty scary right now up in the air.
Okay, so J.J. Hardy might be the answer. Where do you want him batting in the lineup? Right now, with Damian Miller kind of struggling with an injury, we're going to have Chad Muller in the lineup a majority of the time. And that's an automatic out. So we've got 2 automatic outs in the lineup already.
Can't we just get Benito Santiago or
Why
something?
not?
Why don't we get rid of Muller?
I can't think of a good reason.
Santiago's still available, isn't he? I mean,
he hasn't been picked up. He wants to be on a major league roster.
Exactly. I think he'd be perfect.
He's still intimidating to people who are running.
He's got knowledge. He had a good year with Frisco a year or two ago, too. I mean, it's not like he's just...
He's an all-star.
Can he be worse than Chad Muller? I
think he would bat over 100. I think he would.
I mean, we're just talking like a couple Texas leaguers a week. That's all we're asking. We're not asking for much. And that'd be it. Benny has a little bit of power left in him, too.
Sure.
He still looks ripped. I mean, the guy's a piece of work at age 40, whatever he is.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully maybe Melvin can make something happen with that. I'm not sure what we really want to give up at this point just to get a backup catcher.
I don't think you'd have to give up anything.
I think just give probably $750,000 for Benny. I think that's what he's looking for. But so we won't take the league minimum, but we need to do something. This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah, we really do.
It's actually pathetic watching a Chad Muller up at this point. I know today was against Johan. You can't really hold it against him.
Well, even when Johan was out, he hit into that double play, right? That wasn't against Johan.
Crippling.
They had him try and bunt with 2 outs today. Just put the ball in play. I mean, because he's got the biggest hole in his swing, fastball, right down the middle, and the guy, he looks like he's trying really hard, but he's just not doing
It's got to
it.
be mental too.
It's actually sad to watch a lot of time.
It is.
Like when Helms couldn't get a hit, you really felt bad watching him walk back to the dugout after the at bats. And Chad Muller's the same thing now. He looks like he's going to cry every single time.
Well, today, what did Schroeder say? He said there has to have been a time where Chad Muller was actually at least halfway decent at hitting to get up to the major league level. I mean, when your own commentator is blasting you a new one, I mean, there's something that's got to be done.
Especially when it's Rock, who was never really a stellar hitter in his own day.
No.
Maybe he's just cranky from his foot pain, though.
It moved into his
He
neck.
could've moved
He's got neck pain now, too.
And after the lawsuit, they can't even pay his checks anymore, so who really knows what's going on?
Oh, God.
So we have all these questions. I think we can't think the whole year yet, because I think it's a two-sided thing. It's like a AAA schedule. The first half of the year, where do you think we can end up?
Well,
At this point,
we're still surviving. I mean, look at all the questions we talked about, and we're still surviving. We're 3 games under 500. It's hard to say surviving, but this is a big homestand coming up.
we got three against the Rockies. That should
two
be
of the worst
cakewalk.
road teams in
The
baseball
Astros can't
history.
hit.
Like Houston only has 2 wins on the road. I think Colorado got their 3rd win on the road today. So, man, we really got to. I mean, we got to win at least 5 out of the 6. I mean,
would hope
you
so.
have to. You can't even win. You can't afford to win 4 out of the 6 right
We have
now.
to close this month out strong. The month of June is probably our toughest month.
Oh, it's gonna be tough.
It's horrible. We got the Yankees coming in. We got the Cubs a couple
Cubs.
times. We got the Twins again, this time at home, but we never seem to fare too well against them to begin with.
I mean, the way I see it is the Brewers, they're hovering right above 500. They go on a little winning streak, they get above, and they drop back low. It all depends, really. I mean, like you said, June's going to be a tough month. Hopefully we can, remain around 500 for that. Depends on how we end the year. We always seem to end the year pretty crappy, and if we can somehow put something together, maybe we'll finish above 500. As far as to the All-Star break,
Yeah,
I think I just see us hovering right above, below.
June's gonna be tough. We got to shake the June bug and move on. I mean,
Uncle June
it needs to
bug.
be done. But we're hoping that this team would go 500. And that's what they're doing. So I mean, I don't know. It's exciting. I mean, we're still a year or 2 away. It's all coming together. It's all under one roof. And
Let's just be excited about
those
one
things.
thing. If we were betting our funny money, if I told you that Wes Oberman would have a 2.4 ERA on May 22nd and Brady Clark would bat in 340, you would have taken a second mortgage out on your house just to
Overbay.
lay that bet down.
Lee second in RBIs. So it's kind of weird. I mean, how are we? Well, we can say we're in second place. I think.
Yeah,
Can we?
yeah, we
I
can.
think
Pittsburgh
can.
lost today, so yeah,
we are
we're
in
still
second
in
place.
second.
Whatever that's worth. But I mean, it's kind of weird how we aren't doing better. But I don't know.
But we're still optimistic here.
We're
Yeah,
optimistic.
yeah. If
We're
you look
happy.
at it, like you said, Carlos Lee or Derek Lee, whatever you want to call him, he's second in
Chung
the
Lee,
league.
Jet
Chung
Lee.
Lee, Jet
Yeah.
Lee, whatever.
Tiger Chung Lee.
He's second in the league in RBIs. Brady Clark's like 6th or 7th in batting average.
Exactly.
Brian, pointed out Wes Obermuller's 2.4, whatever. I mean, our highest ERA is Doug Davis, and he's still winning.
Yeah, he's had
so
some complete games and still has a nice facial hair. And
the butt chin.
We miss the mustache. He's not
Yeah.
fired anymore. But I don't know. I need a break. Let's take a couple minutes. So we'll be back in a little bit.
all right.
Yo, you never met a like me. Yo, have you ever seen a little girl?
Hi, welcome to a special segment of the Brew Crew Review. Of course, your producer, Craig. And today we got with us the Brew Crew Review minor league analyst and amateur baseball draft expert, Brandon, over here to my right. And so, Brandon, we're going to go over the draft this year. It always falls on the first Tuesday in June. This year it's going to be Tuesday, June 7th. And the Brewers have the 5th overall pick. And so we're going to talk about some of the choices they may have as far as picking. First of all, the new owner of the Brewers, Mark Antanasio, also he's going to have some say probably in the pick. Doug Melvin is our general manager, but the real decision gets made by our scouting director, and that's Jack Zarensik, who's done a fabulous job since Taylor left. Or actually, he came in one of Taylor's, with Taylor, I believe, actually. And he's been doing great and really restocking our minor leagues since that year, 2000. So, but let's first review some of the Brewers. And just so you guys are familiar, the amateur baseball draft, it's about 40 rounds long, I believe. And so it really is a way to restockpile in your minor league. Some of these guys, unlike other drafts like the NBA draft, the NFL football draft, they don't make immediate impact in the major leagues. So because of that, there's not a whole lot of fanfare surrounding the amateur draft. And so when it comes down to it, most people don't even pay attention. It's not televised. It's actually a process that happens rather quickly via phone conferencing of all the GMs. So it's an interesting thing, but but it's very important to the future of the franchise, especially their first-round pick. Speaking of the Brewers, let's go over their first-round selections since 1999. 99, of course, is when we got our franchise pitching ace. Unfortunately, has vertigo right now, but that's Ben Sheets, picked with the 10th overall pick in 1999, pick after Barry Zito. That was actually the previous regime's last draft pick, with Sal Vandal still being the GM. They obviously did a good job on that one of the very few. And then in 2000, Jack Zarenzik took over as scouting director, and his first #1 draft pick ever selected was Dave Krenzel, who's now at AAA for the Brewers. So he's going to be making an impact probably in the near future here at the major league level. But so that was 5 years ago he was drafted. So you can see how long the player development really takes. He was drafted out of high school, and right now he's entering he's going to be 23, I believe. So he's finally ready now to help the Brewers. In 2001, we selected Mike Jones, who had very highly touted high school pitcher. Fortunately, has had injury setbacks, and he could be shelved for a long time. He's missing all of this season, and that's unfortunate, but we had high hopes for him. 2002 is when we selected Prince Fielder. Great pick, obviously. It was questioned at the time because we still had Sexton in our system and other first basemen like Brad Nelson, why we'd go ahead and pick Prince Fielder, but it was a great pick, obviously, and he's going to probably be our starting first baseman if he stays on track at the beginning of next year. And in 2003, we had the 2nd overall pick, which was great, and obviously we could pick one of the best players available, and that was Ricky Weeks from Southern University, second baseman. Right now is tearing up the minor league, so he's going to be up with us, if not probably by the end of the year. So that's another, guy that's going to be a future star for the Brewers. And then last year, of course, 2004, in the first round of the draft, we had also the 5th overall pick, and we were able to pick we actually picked the first high school pitcher to be taken. That was Mark Rogers from Maine, high school Maine, and we have, just like Mike Jones ahead of him, we have high expectations for him. Hopefully he can stay away from injury. But this year, let's go over who the Brewers' choice might be at number 5. Let's start off by first saying the draft picks before the Brewers. First of all, the #1 pick is going to be the Arizona Diamondbacks, followed #2 by the Kansas City Royals. Both had abysmal years last year. #3 overall pick is going to be Seattle Mariners, and the 4th overall pick goes to the Nationals, and that leaves us with the 5th pick. So again, it's one of these things where in the draft you have to take the best player available, not really draft by a position of need. Even though that does factor into the other parts of the draft, you really want to pick the best player available, and Zach Drenzik has been very true to that so far in his year. So first of all, Brandon, who are some of the top prospects that might be available or first of all, who are going to go on the first couple picks, and who do you think might be available for the Brewers to choose from at number 5?
Okay, well, yeah, I will just go over the top 5. The first 2 are kind of no-brainers. Justin Upton, #1.
Younger brother of
B.J. Upton. He's a pretty unanimous #1, 5-tool player.
Out of high school.
All around. He's faster than his younger brother. Apparently hits with a little bit more power than his younger brother, who's also a very good prospect for the Devil Rays. Second, Alex Gordon, bigger power hitting third baseman that plays for Nebraska. He's pretty consensus #2. #3, which is the Mariners pick, I'd have to say they'd probably go with Cameron Mabry, although I want the Brewers to take him. It's somewhere where he's
a 5-tool outfielder from. That's where he kind of gets compared to Griffey. I think that's a little lofty expectations, but I do think he's a talented kid. And in my opinion, I also agree. I think he's the 3rd best player available behind Upton and Gordon in the draft. So I really hope that he does fall to the Brewers. But okay, who else are some of the prospects?
#4, I think the Nationals are probably going to take Ryan Zimmerman, a third baseman from Virginia. If the Brewers don't get Mabry, this is probably the guy I'd want us to take, but I don't necessarily think that'll fall to us. Unfortunately, I think that if Cameron Mabry doesn't get picked by the Mariners, Nationals would be the next candidate who would like to pick him.
Yeah.
So with those guys being gone,
Also, so all the guys you listed, none of them were pitchers. So this is surprising.
Right.
In the past drafts, especially last year, was very top-heavy, especially with college pitching. Lots of pitchers, and that's a hot commodity in baseball. But there's no one who really stands out. The top-rated pitcher, and he's out of college, is Luke Hochevar. And it's rumored he could be a top 5 pick, possibly the Mariners, Nationals, most likely. I don't think the Brewers will be looking at him, but you never know. He is. What
well,
do you
the
think?
problem with Havishar is Boris is his agent. That's probably why some of these other top teams, which are lower market teams, besides the Mariners, might look past. The Nationals, they're owned by Major League Baseball, so they're definitely not going to take him. The Mariners may take him, but the Royals and Devil Rays, they don't have a lot of money to spend either. So I don't see him going that route with Havishar just because he is a Boris agent.
Yeah.
Same with the Brewers. I don't see us taking him because we don't want to spend a lot of money on a signing bonus for a draft pick.
So you think he'll last out of the top 5?
I do.
Okay.
Just for the simple fact that Boris is his agent, which why anyone would want
And
Boris
speaking
as
of
their
that,
agent, I
you
can't
know,
understand.
He's very synonymous with evilness, but pretty much the 2 guys he represented got picked in the first round last year. Jared Weaver from Long Beach State and also Stephen Drew, picked by the Diamondbacks. Both these guys have still not signed. They get up to May 30th this year to sign. If they don't sign, they go back in the draft. And these are 2 talented guys that could also sneak in there in the top 5, but probably not because of the fact that Boris will still be their agent. And they're looking for big money deals. And I personally don't think that they're both talented guys, but I think they're asking for way more money than their talent dignifies at this point. So, I mean, or justifies, I mean. So basically, yeah, you're right. But I don't know. I think I wouldn't not be surprised if the Mariners took a shot at Hochevar if they are interested. But I guess we'll see. But let's try to predict who do you think will be picked at each slot until the Brewers pick. Who do you think that each team is going to take, starting with the Diamondbacks, number 1 overall?
Well, like I said, Justin Upton's pretty consensus, number 1 overall. I think that's going to be their pick. And second, Alex Gordon. You know, if Justin Upton does happen to fall, Alex Gordon would be number 1, and Justin Upton will go number 2. So either way, I think it's going to be 1 and 2, depending on which way they fall.
Now, there's some talk though if the Royals really like the high school guy. If Upton went number 1, and the Royals, of course, if he slipped, would take him in a heartbeat. But let's say that it does happen, then Alex Gordon. You know, the Royals are deep in their system. They have Billy Butler, they drafted in the first round last year at third base. They also have Mark Tehan, almost ready for the majors. They don't necessarily have a need at third base. And also, Gordon is going to have a hefty price tag to him. Do you think the Royals, who are also in need of pitching, might maybe not take a shot at Hochevar, but maybe reach for another guy that might go in the top 10 pitching-wise, and then maybe allow Gordon to fall? I've heard some rumors that it could happen. I don't personally believe that they're going to be foolish enough to pass on Gordon myself, so I agree with you. But, all right, going on, so you've got Upton, Gordon. Who do you got going third to the Mariners?
Unfortunately, I have the Mariners taking Cameron Maben. And if they didn't take him, I think they would maybe go with Havishar. But I do think they will take Cameron Maben. I think he's the 3rd best talent in the draft. So, unfortunately for the Brewers, I think that's who the Mariners are going to select.
Okay. And then number 4, the Nationals, last pick before we go.
Number 4 is the next guy I'd want the Brewers to take. Ryan Zimmerman. I think the Nationals are leaning towards him, and there's a strong possibility that's who they'll take, unless, of course, Maben falls or any of the top 2 guys fall, where they'd gobble them up. So.
Yeah. Okay. So then, who do you have the Brewers taking? Number
So then
5?
I have the Brewers taking. I think the next best. The Brewers are always a hard team to predict because they don't lean one way, high school or college players the other, like a lot of teams like to. Like for the A's, for example, Billy Beane loves college players. He rarely ever takes a high school player in the first or second round. So the Brewers are a hard team to predict that way. But I think
Zrentek's only taken 1 college player in the first round.
well, right, but he doesn't have any. Yeah, you know, he's taken college players in the
up
second
and down. He doesn't have any
right.
preference.
He just tries to take the best player
and that's
available.
what you should do.
That's what I think as well. I think that, especially in baseball, you shouldn't look to fill positions of need because they are 3 or 4 years away. Who knows what could happen in 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
You know, Prince could, you know,
who knows?
God forbid, tear his ACL or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, just some oddity. You know, his career could be over. So I think that we would take the next best available player, which would be Troy Tulowitzki. It's a hard name to pronounce.
Tulowitzki, yeah. I think from Long Beach State, you know, he played with Jared Weaver, of course.
Right. They say he's not, you know, he's not really fantastic at any one aspect, but he's good at everything. So he'd be a solid pick as a shortstop, even though we obviously have J.J. Hardy and Bill Hall.
We hope that he's going to be Bill Hall. But the future of the Brewers, shortstop position is definitely going to be J.J. Hardy.
Right.
Where we do have a need right now, obviously, is third base and up and down the system. But we don't have to pick for that. But if someone, that I would actually, so there's a way to, possibly convert Tulowitzki to third base if it indeed is a pick or if it ever comes to that. And since he's coming out of college, he could be ready within a couple of years. But I'd be actually disappointed with that pick. This guy, he's been compared to Bobby Crosby. It doesn't really excite me.
No,
they played together. But, I don't know. So I hope that's not the case. Before I list off who I think how the draft will play out, the first 5 picks, I first want to say that I think the top 3 choices that ideally could fall to the Brewers in this order of preference. Number 1, third base stud, obviously consistent number 1 overall college guy, Alex Gordon. If he somehow slips by, and I really know that he's not, unfortunately,
he's not.
We would jump all over that.
Right.
He'd fill out our need at shortstop within a couple of years. At third base within 2 years because he's that ready.
Yeah, they do say.
And he's going to be a star. I don't think he'll be as good as like Mark Teixeira when he was a third
well, they
baseman.
compare him to Scott Rowland defensively.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'd hope he was as good.
I
he may
think
be
he's
a little
more
bit
known
better
for
of
his
a
hitter. I think that they've been comparing Zimmerman to Rowland a lot because of his defensive skills. But yeah, Gordon would be our number 1 choice, of course. Our number 2 choice is what I'm really hoping. Of course, if he could make it to us, I think Zrenstick would definitely pick him. That's Cameron Mabern, the 5'2" outfielder. And, he is a rare talent, and you've got to get that guy if he gets a chance. I'm hoping he'd last to us. And then the third guy who would really, I think we really like, and that's Ryan Zimmerman from Virginia.
Sure.
Another third baseman. He's so much, in my opinion, though, he's so much further below of a prospect than Alex Gordon is. I'd almost be somewhat disappointed if he was our pick. I'd really like to say that I wish there was a pitcher we'd almost reach for in maybe at the college level, like Hoshaver, but I think because of Boris, we'll stay away from him, and there's no one else that really steps up. A couple of guys further down there, if we do a reach for that wouldn't be that disappointed, is Jeff Clement, a catching prospect who could get moved to a different position from USC. He was a legend in Iowa, and he owns like the high school home run record for all of high school in history. He's a guy with a lot of power at the catching position. If he sticks there, he'd be kind of valuable. I wouldn't mind if we reached for someone like him. Another guy kind of like a high schooler coming at third baseman, Justin Bristow, who's a two-way talent. He's a pitcher and a hitter. Those guys kind of always intrigue me. I also like Mike Pelfrey from Wichita State. I think he could be a pretty solid major leaguer.
Another guy represented by Boris.
Yeah, so we'll probably have to stay away from him, unfortunately. But
honestly, I don't even think Jared Weaver would be that much of a stretch. I highly doubt that he'd hold out a second year. I mean, that's almost a.
I don't see us taking. In fact, I don't really like Weaver personally.
Well,
I don't think he's. I think he's a little overrated. I do think he'll be as good, if not a little bit better, than his brother, but that's not saying a whole lot in my eyes.
No.
I really think that he's going to be somewhat of a basket case, crazy dude. So, we'll see, I guess. All right. So basically, I'll go through my predictions of how I think it'll play out, and in some ways, I almost hope it does play out as far as the draft. I do see. Well, actually, there's even been some talk that the Diamondbacks are pretty locked into Justin Upton. But if they sign Stephen Drew, who's also a shortstop prospect, before the draft, there's some talk that they may just shy away from Upton, even though I think that would be foolish. But they could go for Gordon. So there's a possibility.
Yeah, they could.
But I do think that my prediction is Stephen Drew will go back in the draft, and they will pick Justin Upton. Even if they do actually sign Stephen Drew, I still think they have this inclination they're going to pick Justin Upton. He's just such a consensus number one.
Yeah. Consensus number one since he was about 16 years old.
Yeah,
so.
but I actually think if I had number one pick, my own team, I'd pick Alex Gordon personally. Well, anyway, so I do think, despite the talk, the Royals are going to pick Alex Gordon second, and they're going to be better for it. So, they need him. So, good luck to him. But so I think those are for sure number one and two, whatever order, I don't know. But those guys are going to be off the board. So that brings us to the third pick. The Mariners, and from what I've heard, rumor-wise, I think they're really like, at first I heard that they're interested in Hoshaver, but I think they're a little leery of the Boris thing as well. They do need the pitching. I kind of think maybe they'll pick him, but I actually have a funny feeling that I've also heard they're really in love with who you picked, the Brewers picking, and that's the shortstop from Long Beach State, Troy Tulowitzki or whatever. And so I actually am going to predict that they'll pick him, which is good, because that means Maben will at least fall to number 4. So this is what scares me.
Zimmerman.
Yeah, so that leaves us with the two other guys I want. Means we're gonna get one of them, either Maben or Zimmerman. I really like Maben way better than Zimmerman. I'm hoping that the Nationals will go an inexpensive route, maybe reach for another pitcher. I heard they like guys like some other guys a little further down. I have a funny feeling Borden, their general manager, is going to pick Maben, but I'm just going to wishful thinking and say that they've fallen in love with Zimmerman, and they're going to pick Zimmerman at third. And so with a fourth overall pick to play third base for them. Well, that leaves the Brewers and Zarancic with Cameron Maben, who I'm really hoping will be wearing a Brewer uniform, or be selected by the Brewers at least, a number 5 overall pick come June 7th. So, this is something you can't tune in and watch on television, but if you check out the internet, MLB.com's got some cool coverage of that. Also, if you're just looking for some stuff, we should plug brewerfan.net is a cool website to go check out on a whole bunch of Brewer-related features, especially draft coverage. They've got some awesome stuff, so kudos to them for that. We got a lot of our info from there. So you should check that out. So I guess next month we'll have a recap of who the Brewers did select and maybe talk over, because there are 39 or so more rounds that they actually pick other guys. So it's very important, up and down, a very important day, or actually I think it's over 2 days, where all the picks are made. It's a really important time for the Brewers to restock the minor leagues, and it's kind of exciting to me.
First day especially. I mean, the second day, 21 through 40, I think the second day is a lot of those guys will actually go to college. Or
possibly.
Well, won't be. So a lot
But
of the
some
guys on the first day won't
like we
be
get guys
signed
like
either.
Manny Parra, who are draft and follow type guys, like in a 20-something route,
Yep.
and then we sign him for a big bonus the next year before he goes back to college or whatever. And so there's always some good finds and stuff like that. So go Manny Parra, by the way. But anyway, unfortunately we don't have a second-round pick this year, and we've had some great second-round picks under Zarancic with J.J. Hardy, Brad Nelson,
Josh Murray.
Yeah, Josh Murray. Go, Josh. And also, well, he picked Lou Palmazan in the third round, so that was pretty cool after he made a mistake of picking Tony Gwynn Jr. or whatever. But
who's hitting 320 with 17 stolen bases.
He's not like his
Double
father,
A, by the
people.
way.
Don't be fooled.
He's not like his father. He's a little bit different of a breed, but I think he's very good defensively, and he could be a good player.
Anyway, what I was going to mention, we don't have a second-round pick this year, though, because we signed Damian Miller, so we had to forfeiture that over to the – who the hell did he play for last year? The A's.
Who knows?
I think the A's. Well, anyway,
the A's.
Yeah. So anyway, they get our pick. Darn it. Well, anyway, that's gonna wrap it up. We'll go back to the rest of the show here.
The homicide, I ain't had 50 cent when my grandmama died. Now I'm going back to Cali with my Jacob on. See how time fly.
The underdogs on top, and I'm gonna shine, homie, until my heart stop.
Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me.
Hated to love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gonna shine, homie, until my heart stop.
Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me.
From the beginning to the end, losers lose, winners win. This is real, we ain't got to pretend. The cold world that we in, it's full of pressure and pain. Enough of me, nigga, now listen to game.
Used to see 5-0 throw the crack by the and with 5-0, it's all starting to make sense. My mom's happy she ain't gotta pay the rent, and she got a red bow on that brand new Benz. Waiting on shot money to land, sitting in the range, thinking how they spent $30 million on airplanes when his kids starving. Pockets going and Brenda still throwing babies in the garbage. I wanna know what's going on like I hear Marvin. No school books, they use that wood to build coffins. Whenever I'm in the booth and I get exhausted, I think, what if Marie Baker got that abortion? I love you,
the
ma.
underdogs on top, and I'm gonna shine, homie, until my heart stop.
Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me.
Hated to love it, the underdogs on top, and I'm gonna shine, homie, until my heart stop.
Go ahead, envy me. I'm Raps MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me.
Welcome back to the Brew Crew Review. We're revved up and ready to go, and we're going to answer some listener mail, actually. So I think we'll start with Matt from West Dallas. If we have some more time, we'll go to the other ones as well. But I think think Matt had several questions. We'll just address them on the air. We always appreciate your emails. We'll get to them whenever we can.
And what's that address again?
That is brewcrewreview@yahoo.com. That again is Nick.
brewcrewreview@yahoo.com.
Yahoo.
He's an eligible bachelor, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this gentleman. All right, I think Matt's first question. I think he had a question about the Carlos Lee trade. Where do we think this is working out now? Do we think this has been in our favor? Do you think the White Sox got the better end of the deal? I think they're the best team in the American League still at this point.
I think the trade has definitely worked out to our favor for sure because you can't play Brady and Pasetnik at the same time. So I think it's definitely worked out in our favor. I think it's worked out in the White Sox favor too. So I think it's kind of one of those neat trades where, it works out for both teams. Also, I think how it worked out in Brewers' favor is we got rid of Vizcaino too. He gave up that 3-run homer today for a White Sox loss. So it's kind of nice to get him off the books. And then we get to have Brady Clark play every day, who's been outstanding. So it's definitely worked out in our favor. And plus, he is second in the league in RBIs, and he was Player of the Week a couple weeks ago.
The funny thing is I listen to some White Sox games on TV. They think that they have something special in Luis Vizcaino. Every time he comes in, they talk about how great their bullpen is and how he's this big addition when all he does is give up home runs. We all know what his deal is. He just, you want to talk about Turnbull giving up home runs. Luis Vizcaino's pitch to home run ratio was 3-1.
That hanging slider is really.
He's
really
the
good
only
recipe
person in
for
Major League
disaster.
history with a better home run ratio than Babe Ruth, I think.
I'm excited though to see Pasetnik. He's gonna get 90
I think it's still
stolen
100.
bases.
I think he's on a mission to steal 100.
He
This
might
is so
be.
four
I
in a game
mean-
where
And that's near impossible the way the baseball is now. With the
today, right?
stolen base is pretty much dead, and Pasetnik is using it. Hopefully, it brings it back a little bit. I think it's exciting to watch him. Watch a game when the guy's going to swipe second every time he's on. He's going. They know he's going. He's still going to take it. It's pretty fun to watch. But I think that the White Sox kind of figured out the best way to use Vizcaino is to not use Vizcaino. They have their starters going 7 or 8 innings every time. It just goes straight. Their closers, Takatsu or whatever his name is, kind of a bum. But
Hermanson's been amazing.
Hermanson took
yeah.
over now. But it's not a big deal for them because their guys, John Garland's pitching a shutout every time he pitches.
Burley, yep.
So I think for them it looks great right now. They think that they've kind of fleeced us a little bit. Even the White Sox fans you talk to them, they think that Carlos Lee's a complete loser.
Yeah, we talked to some in Chicago
When we went down there, they said he was lazy and this and that. But I think he's, if you watch him on defense, he's an outstanding. He just robbed. Who was it?
Homer.
Yeah, I forget who it was, some Minnesota bum, but he robbed him of a home run, and he's starting to come around. So I would definitely do that trade all over again. But I'm glad it's working out for both teams. So.
Plus, it's nice when the White Sox are doing well. It keeps the Cubs fans quiet.
Exactly.
I think we had a couple other questions here from Matt that we'll go through them quick. He wanted to know about Hardy again. We already talked about that. I think his question is about Wes Helms. He seems kind of down on Wes Helms. Are we still down on Helms at this point, or are we kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt?
Well, the email that was dated a couple weeks back,
Yeah,
and Wes Helms has done some. I kind of want to see Wes Helms get some more at-bats. I mean, I don't know. It seems like Branyan is now the odd man out, and as days go by, everything changes with that position. But I don't know. I guess you got Wes Helms is doing everything he can. I guess he's like the first one in the park every day with Butch Weiniger, and he's always talking to Butch Weiniger, and maybe that's his demise is because he's talking to Butch Weiniger because Butch Weiniger hasn't been doing too much this year for a lot of people. But I mean, we see I give the guy credit. He's accepted his role. He's been a professional about it. He hasn't whined about it. And he has come across in duty right now as pinch hitting and things like that. So I guess he's worthy of one of the 25 roster spots.
I think you led to an interesting point here, though. What do we think about Butch Weiniger? Is this somebody we want to keep around with the Brewers at this point? I mean, I think the most embarrassing point of the year so far for us has been Carlos Silva throwing a complete game in 74 pitches.
Yeah.
We had guys just going up there hacking.
2 innings, it was 8 or 9 combined pitches. He had a 3-pitch inning.
I mean, that's just pathetic at this point, isn't it? These guys are not great hitters to begin with. And you have the guys just going up there hacking at the first pitch. They see, this is what the hitting coach is supposed to do, just, kind of regulating this kind of thing, and he's not doing it at this
It's kind of
point.
weird, though. I mean, because you could say, well, Brady Clark was never hit like this until Butch Weiniger. I mean, I guess you could take it both ways, like some people in society do. But, I mean, Brady Clark has never had such great numbers, and Overbay has never really had such much success. So I don't know if it's Weiniger or not, but he's an easy scapegoat right now. I don't know what the deal is. Apparently he's a hard worker, though. But
I think we've seen a lot of guys going through the same approach over and over again, just without any success. You see Bill Hall still has that giant long swing. It hasn't changed since he came up. Junior Spivey's his swing is getting longer and longer by the day. Chad Moeller, the guy was never a 100 hitter for any kind of period in his career. He at least could bat 230, which I'm not saying is fantastic, but 230 at least, maybe get a run in every once in a while.
Right.
J.J. Hardy's really not changing his focus at all. He's just doing the same thing he's been doing, which you can say he's not striking out, he's making contact, but he's also not getting hits or hitting the ball with any kind of authority. I mean, is his job in jeopardy at this point?
Like I said, I guess he would be the fall guy, if anything. But I don't see Ned Yost. He's such a loyal guy, and loyalty may be his downfall.
loyal. Yeah, for sure.
So I don't see them doing anything at least until the season's over. But in reality, how important is a hitting coach? I mean, these guys are professionals. You think they know how to hit by now, and I could never really understand it myself.
Well, you can say the same thing about pitching coach. They've been doing it forever. And would you trade Mike Maddox for anything at this point?
No,
I mean, they say he's a rising star in the league.
Right, up and
He's
comer.
completely changed our pitching staff around. I mean, you guys, I'm sure they've had the same swing most of their lives, but just changing their approach or at least getting something different in their head.
I don't know, Chad. What do you think about Mike Maddox?
Well, it's very hands-on.
He's a very hands-on guy.
I think we have the
for
most
sure.
hands-on coaches in baseball. I was watching the game today, and Dave Nelson has his hands on everyone, and
Oh, yeah.
Mike Maddox has his hands on everyone, and
Chad, are you wearing bowling shoes?
yeah,
Chad, show everybody your bowling shoes.
I went to a named alley and indulged in some adult beverages, and I lost my shoes and my phone. So I apologize for people not returning their calls. But
I thought the
we're
best.
talking about Mike Maddox.
I thought the best part. I thought the best part of Matt from West Dallas's comments here was. But what about Wes Helms? Probably the biggest thing that angers me about the Brewers is that we are paying him to sit his expletive and suck when he does get a chance. This is the part I like. Ever since he fell down the stairs in Puerto Rico, he hasn't done anything, and I really agree with him. He had a hit today, which was
He had
pretty
a clutch
solid.
hit.
He waited back on the changeup, ripped it. Kadire
He hit ESPN's untouchable pitch, which
is the changeup. Yep.
God knows he can't hit a straight 88-mile fastball, but he just hit Johan Santana's changeup for a single.
He can catch up to the 72-mile-an-hour changeup. So
Incredible.
when does his contract end, anyways? Somebody.
This year is
It's
the
this
last
year.
year.
Last year, we're rid of him. That 2-year, $8.5 million deal is finally, or 3-year deal, was it 8.5 or 8?
He got that much?
I'm not so gung-ho on Wes Helms as you guys are. I'd rather see Jeff Cirillo, because
Well,
he's
I'm
a
more gung-ho
fan.
on Wes Helms by default, but
He's a fan favorite, and if Jeff Cirillo can,
He can bat in the 2-hole, which is pretty important in our lineup
Right,
at this
right,
point, 'cause
right. And he's
Brady Clark is
scrappy.
getting on base constantly. We need some guy who can move him over to second. Spivey can't be that guy. He can't make contact enough. Bill Hall's not that guy.
I hope Weeks is
J-
that guy.
J.J.
I'd like
Hart-
to see it happen.
Yeah, J.J. Hardy's just going to ground into double plays constantly. For God's sake, we're not batting Damian Miller at the 2-hole ever, ever, ever again. When we did that, it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. I know he did it because he was a hot hitter, but so it was a double play waiting to happen, and then the double play did happen. So I hope that Yost just, I don't know, maybe puts his manager coat away for a little while and just kind of lets a couple of guys hit in the spots they should.
Indeed.
So I think that's Matt from West Dallas. Got anything else for us?
Well,
he asked about our prospect for the year.
Oh.
If we actually think that we can make the playoffs. I don't know if we've ever actually said that they can make the playoffs. Has anybody gone that bold?
I was saying 500 all year, and I
Right.
was hoping for third place. That was my goal, third place and 500-ish. So playoffs, probably in 2 years that'll be my goal, but not right now. I think 500, third place, and that's looking where we're at right now. So I'm satisfied, but we can always do better.
And here at the Brew Crew Review, we're very open to all questions. That if we don't know the answer, we'll let you know. Your question, why there are 4 teams in the AL West and 6 teams in the NL Central, I have absolutely no idea.
backwards bud.
If anybody knows the answer to this question,
I would assume it'd have to do with balanced schedules, though, and stuff
I'm
like
sure it
that.
has to in some way, but that's still pretty ridiculous as far as I'm concerned.
But you know what? I'm going to loosen up the purse strings, and for the next email of the week or show or whatever, I'm going to give away 2 free tickets to a Brewer game.
What a great man. Such a generous person.
I have
Giving away 2 free
connections.
tickets.
I'm not
As
going to
our-
say where they are or who they're against, but 2 tickets for sure.
Bring you your significant other, whatever, floats your boat,
Yeah.
and pick them up at will call. So,
This one that will call, you can side with my friend Jimmy, and he'll take care of you if he hears you.
So you heard that? You heard our offer. Send us an email. We'll answer just what we did for Matt from West Dallas.
And what was that email again?
That email is brewcrewreview@yahoo.com. We'll also hit you back up, Matt, so you can be watching this when we're on. So, and then I guess on a side note for you, Matt, you wondered who our nice gentleman was in the St. Norbert's shirt. That is our own Magellan, our explorer, Vince Travato. I think you know him best.
Yeah, he's combing the earth right now, retracing Lewis and Clark's steps.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you.
He never graduated from St. Norbert's, but he did go to Madison. He's a good guy. I'm going to tell you about the night that he was born. Just some random pooped him out and into the toilet, and he floated. So that's how we got his middle name, Vincent Floater. And we won't give out his last name, but
I already did give out his last name.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. So he's he's combing the earth right now, retracing the Snake River, looking for snakes and
Trouser snakes.
Trouser snakes smothered in boxer shorts. So
he doesn't have an address, so
we're not
or a
giving
phone
number.
Or a phone number. He's just living off the earth. So he's a good guy, and
But Mikey's open to anything, so
Hey,
don't count anything out.
exactly. I think that's a pretty solid way to go out. I think Vince might be back. He might not. Who knows where he is at this point?
definitely unshaven.
If we can put his picture up, if anyone's seen him, to send us an email at brewreview@yahoo.com if anyone's seen
It's
him.
been a few weeks. Just kind of concerned for his whereabouts, but
Maybe our producer Craig could.
I think he definitely has to
Flash
be
a
back
graphic
because
up right now.
the Brew Crew Review road trip is coming up. Hitting up a game in Detroit, going to see the crew up in Toronto.
We're venturing into Canada.
We're going to go into Canada, show them why America's the greatest country in the world. We're going to bring our brewer flag, our American flag. We'll be hitting all the great stops. We'll do a remote show from Toronto. Any female viewers want to come with us, they're more than welcome. Send your resume.
Picture
photos.
Brew Crew Review at yahoo.com.
Or call Nick.
Or call me, 414-687-8888. Blonde, under 125.
Serious.
He's our travel agent.
Serious
so, yeah.
female inquiries only.
And for Chad.
All right, I think that's going to be a wrap. I think that's good for the day. So for Brian
I'm Nick.
and Chad,
Jed.
stay classy, West Dallas.